Hey guys, it's Comic-Con time, and I'm dressed as the time that woman was a sex slave in that movie that we all like. It's Today in Nerd History.
Today in Nerd History!
Every year, over 100,000 people gather in San Diego for Comic-Con to watch announcements and unveilings and premieres. But the most interesting stories to come out of Comic-Con aren't the movie and video game trailers. It's the stuff that happens around the convention. Here are the 5 craziest true-life stories from Comic-Con. Number 5, a high-rise rescue. With thousands of people dressed up like superheroes and supervillains and whatever this is, it's easy to forget that actual heroes exist too. In 2013, a handful of stuntmen who were setting up for a movie premiere for Kick-Ass 2 leapt into action when a hysterical woman was preparing to throw herself off of a nearby high-rise. Because of their proximity and training, they were able to respond to the situation before the police were able to arrive on the scene. And more importantly, before the woman was able to harm herself. This is also the only excusable context for somebody to say, I'm really glad they made a sequel to Kick-Ass. Number 4, incognito celebrities. The celebrity lifestyle comes at the understood sacrifice of anonymity. But amazingly, some celebrities have found a momentary obscurity at the very heart of their fanships. Daniel Radcliffe, recognized worldwide as the unassuming yet heroically gifted kid Harry Potter, hid himself as the unassuming yet heroically gifted kid Peter Parker. Maisie Williams of Game of Thrones also took the floor as Spider-Man. Adam Savage of Mythbusters took it to a whole new level of ridiculous with his insane facehugger alien cosplay. But it's Bryan Cranston who takes the cake. He went disguised as himself, Walter White, wearing a disturbing rubber mask and only finally revealing himself on stage. This also led to some of the weirder fanfiction shipping actually kind of becoming a reality. Number 3, no one likes Star Wars. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens is coming to Comic-Con this year, and it's bound to bust Hall H's 6,100 person capacity at the very seams. Fan lines at Comic-Con, for those of you who haven't had the pleasure, can go on for hours. They could even last over a night. But things weren't always this way. In fact, in 1976, Comic-Con featured the first Star Wars as its very first Hollywood panel. And nobody showed up. I mean, practically nobody, that is. Charles Lippincott presented early slides of the movies to a handful of bored and skeptical attendees who received the presentation with very little enthusiasm. Flash forward nearly 40 years, and now San Diego Comic-Con has an officially sanctioned Star Wars Day for the convention. The moral of the story is advertisements for movies is fun and good, but what people really want is a cool dude in a metal bikini. Number 2, Philip K. Dick's disappearing head. Philip K. Dick is one of the most influential sci-fi writers of all time, and his contributions to the genre are innumerable. So it only made sense that the long-deceased Dick would appear as a talking android at Comic-Con in 2005. Promoting a film version of a scanner Dorkly, the android took and answered questions, engaged in rudimentary conversation, and rambled on for minutes at a time in a weird form of idiot robot poetry. This appearance would be one of the last times that the android would be seen in public. In fact, it would be one of the last times it'd be seen ever by anyone. Not long after Comic-Con, the robot's creator David Hansen boarded a plane with the android's head stuffed into a duffel bag, which is totally not super creepy, and he up and forgot it on board while meeting his connecting flight. Though the airline found the head and shipped it to Hansen's final destination, it never arrived. The head that cost $25,000 and took a team of engineers 6 months to build vanished into thin air. My theory? Well, I think it gained sentience and ran off to the woods to write a sequel to Ben Affleck's version of Paycheck. It's never gonna get made, but you know, robot, you do you. Number 1, the very first Comic-Con attendee. Before Comic-Con was a thing, before any recurring comic convention was a thing, there was the Tri-State Comic-Con in New York City in 1964. And the very first person to buy a ticket? Well, none other than a 15-year-old George R.R. Martin. This distinction has led Martin to claim, I'm the very first comic fan. It also explains why he's been cosplaying as an evil bearded sea captain for the past 50 years. If you guys have any really good personal stories about Comic-Con, let me know in the comments below, or you can tweet at me at HelpfulTony. I've been about 8 times. I've always really enjoyed myself. I think my favorite time was when I accidentally gathered a crowd of about like 20 people when I was describing the recipe for a perfect sandwich. It was a good time. It was a better sandwich. Woo! Bye, guys.